Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 1, Episode 7, Q-less. In this episode, DS9 gets visited by Q, who causes sort of minor problems. At the same time, Quark tries to auction an artifact, which turns out to be a Wively alien, and it causes sort of technical difficulties for the station.
Which takes them way too long to figure out.
Oh god, it's way too long.
Let's see, this woman arrives, and she has stuff, and then there's an anomaly in her ship, and then our station shows that exact same anomaly, exactly when she shows up. What could it be?
They never think of it. The actual solution never even addressed that they directly saw the source of the problem.
That was so aggravating to watch.
Yeah. I mean, aside from that, I think it would have been a bad episode anyway.
Oh yeah, this is a huge clunker of an episode. First really bad one of the season.
So, if you've not seen Star Trek, I'm guessing you won't know who Q is.
That's correct.
So, can you describe Q to me?
He's just a loquacious jerk who's omnipotent, I guess.
Yep.
That's not the right word, or is it? Okay.
Is he omnipotent? Probably. Yeah, that's actually quite a good description.
He just pops in and out of places, causing trouble, and nobody likes him.
Yeah, that's accurate. So I guess they did portray Q kind of well, although he's way more... he's a next-gen antagonist. He likes to pester humans, and usually he's a lot more ridiculous. Like, he's got godlike powers. He's essentially a god. He can move through time and space and interfere with everything just by thinking. In this episode, he seemed to mostly be annoyed at the lady, Vash, because she didn't want to team up with him.
Yeah, the thrust of the episode was the interaction between Vash and Q, two people I'm not familiar with at all, and I don't care about. And there's very little, if any, revelations in the characters that are established. So I was just annoyed the whole time.
Well, we actually did establish something. Last podcast, we talked about counting up how many times Bashir blatantly throws morals to the wind in his medical practice. I didn't think it would be that often, but he was right back at it this episode, trying to flirt and date patients.
Yeah, I tried to come up with an excuse to come down here, but I thought I would just blatantly show up anyway.
Yeah, I would basically kidnap you, but I can't think of a good excuse. Wow.
Kira showed us how easy kidnapping is, too.
Well, yeah, he's not kidnapping, he's just emotionally coercing someone in a dependent position into a romantic relationship. It's awful. That's such an awful thing to do.
Yeah, I was glad that he was knocked out the whole time.
Yeah, no one seemed to notice or care that he was gone for several days.
No, of course not. They were probably glad, especially O'Brien.
Oh, there's a great bit at the start where he's chatting to the lady about...
oh, yeah.
Whether he got his story about he mixed up a pre-ganglionic fiber for a post-ganglionic neuron. Neuron? No, whatever. And O'Brien's in the background, just
O'Brien
rolling his eyes.
So disgusted.
I know. It was actually a good performance from O'Brien again. He was the only one in the episode that actually put in... He didn't get much screen time, but when he was on screen, he was actually doing a good job of portraying his character in an episode that otherwise fell flat.
Yeah, O'Brien's face is the MVP of this episode.
Other than O'Brien, I think the only thing I liked about this episode was during the auction, there was one little moment where they're bidding, and the hand goes up with 6 fingers for 600 bars of platinum.
Oh, I missed that. That's pretty good.
It is a nice little touch. It just says 600 bars. It was nice. But that was 2 seconds out of 45 minutes.
The 2 seconds I liked, other than O'Brien's face, were when Quark tries to tempt Odo with a fancy bucket and trying to get him to
latch onto material possessions.
Yeah.
For a moment, he kind of has him, but Odo resists.
Yeah, for that half second. So the idea of Odo considering a fancy bucket is pretty funny.
Dax was kind of useless, which is a shame because it's the first time that she was the science. She's a science officer, and they had a scientific problem, and her idea of flooding. Well, first of all, she suggested flooding toxic gas into the station.
Let's put poison everywhere.
Yeah, which is okay. Well, they're gonna die anyway, so not too bad. But her ideas based on that, she had to run past O'Brien anyway. Like, it didn't seem like she was that useful. It seemed like O'Brien could have probably done that himself. I don't know.
Yeah, Dax hasn't done anything worthy of note so far.
The next episode is called Dax, I think, so maybe.
You would hope that would promise something.
Jadzia Dax does not appear in this episode.
What a twist.
That actually would make sense, though, if she was not there. Where's Dax?
Yeah, the mystery of Dax.
I think it shows how good this episode was that we're already talking about the next one.
Yeah, we're so eager to not to talk about this episode, this train wreck.
I think the idea they were trying to do was relate Deep Space Nine to Next Gen.
Which is a horrible idea.
Yeah, well, especially if you've not seen Next Gen, but it's horrible anyway. I mean, what you were saying the other day about O'Brien's line, "It's not in my nature," that was minor in comparison to Sisko's "I'm not Picard."
Oh, yeah, that was so heavy-handed.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Picard, I wish I counted how many times they mentioned his name. The whole episode seemed to exist to remind you, hey, Picard was a guy, and this show is connected to that other show. This is all the same universe. And that was the whole point of the episode, which does nothing for someone like me who hasn't seen Next Gen. And they should be trying to establish their own thing with Deep Space Nine and not have it have Next Gen as a crutch. They should try to move out of that shadow, if you'll allow me to mix my metaphors.
Yeah, it's not universe building to force in loads of connections like that. It's universe building to make new stories and have connections arise naturally. This episode was the opposite.
Yeah, it was the opposite of all those things you just said. And it's frustrating as a new viewer, and I'm sure it's frustrating as someone familiar with everything already as well.
Yeah, it was a dud.
Even if it didn't have those connections, if Q and Vash were just totally new, this, I already mentioned this, but this does nothing to reveal about anything of the characters, which is not what you want to do. To go back just to the previous episode, so we don't have to talk about this episode again to diverge. It was kind of the same thing where you had an outsider come in and there's some sort of mystery to their backstory. So same thing here, but then the interactions with the crew with that person showed us things, whereas we don't get that at all here. Well, to some degree we get it here, but it's so minor.
It's really confusing because Q he has like these crazy powers, I don't know, or powers, let's say, and everyone just ignores him and tells him to leave all the time.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Well, if you've seen Next Gen, and oh, believe me, the writers really want you to know that it's connected to Next Gen, you would know that Q never really does anything useful particularly. He just likes to muck about. So it makes sense that they tell him to leave a lot, but it doesn't really make sense if you don't know. I don't know. It's just a bad episode.
Yeah, there's not much redeeming about it. Although, I like that Quark's showmanship and greed continue even in the face of impending doom. He knows that the ship is going to be ripped apart, but still he continues with the auction.
Well, there's no point in stopping then.
Yeah, but he's still really into it and showing his naked avarice, as Q refers to it.
Speaking of Quark, he went in to talk to Vash, which, by the way, I think means cow in French. I'm
not aware.
He arranged the auction, and then she grabs his ears, and he says he will not be distracted by her feminine wiles.
Yeah, Quark provides some relief from this rubbish heap of an episode.
It was a bit disgusting, to be honest, but at least it evoked an emotional response in me.
Yeah, that went on uncomfortably long. If it were quicker, maybe.
Oh, you disgusting Ferengi.
Let's talk about Odo so we don't have to talk about Vash or Q.
Was Odo in this episode much?
Yeah, he has a little scene with Quark. Basically dismisses the idea of materialism.
Yeah, we already talked about this for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, but I really don't want to talk about Q.
I mean, we could just end it here. It's a bad episode. There's not much to talk about.
Well, I wanted to bring up one thing he says. He says, I have my work. What more do I need? And
oh, yeah. You can see straight away. He definitely...
Go on.
Yeah, well, when he says that, you know that it's a lie.
Yeah, it's definitely a lie. And we saw that in the premiere. He wants to know his origins. That's obviously something that plagues on his mind. So just having his work isn't enough. It's enough to mostly distract him, but it's not enough.
Yeah, this episode is not enough to satisfy my space station needs.
No, not even close.
Do you have any words of wisdom?
Oh gosh, no. I was so annoyed the whole time. I didn't want to memorialize any moment.
Here's a quote for you. In 4 years, we'll all be dead.
Did someone say that in the episode?
O'Brien said, Dax was like, oh, we could put more toxic gas in. And O'Brien said, yes, but in 4 years, we'll all be dying of...
iridium, right?
Tritium or something. Yeah, poisoning.
Okay, I remember now. Yes.
That sums up my opinion of this episode. You'll all be dead someday. Why are you
Is this
watching
episode like that poisoning? Does it have a slow march to death?
It feels like it. Okay, we have to stop.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.